Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name's Donnie Glover, and this is BlackUSA.News morning show. I'll be your host today. Boy, oh boy, how you doing? Whew. The weekend is over. It's Monday morning, and we're ready to get to the grind. Listen, this Saturday, last Saturday, and 2 more Saturdays following, we will be having the that wouldn't be helpful. We have the MBE conference, Contractors College. My phone is ringing and I left it upstairs. But we'll be having the MBE college going on. And you can just go to Contractors College. Let me give you the exact link. contractorscollege.eventbrite.com. contractorscollege.eventbrite.com. Good morning, Rico. Top of the day to you. So Saturday's session was very informative. This Saturday will be even more informative. Let me tell you, last Saturday we had Dana Moore, Chief of Equity for Baltimore City. We also had attorney Robert DeShield. He's no stranger to this show. We had him on here. Who else did we have? Let me tell you, this Saturday we have members of the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. And that is one special group of people. Yeah, I just wanted to double check, make sure I was on the right page. I'm on the right page. Don't know what happened to our guests. So also this Saturday, we have Walter Edwards of the Black Business Empowerment Commission out of Harlem. And we did our best to help educate people about the whole concept of minority business enterprise. Long story short, Black people have been discriminated against in business across the country, and MBE programs have established themselves to help reverse that trend, to help level the playing field. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Tamara Brown, former MBU chief for the city of Baltimore, she brought to my attention over the weekend what's happened up in Boston. And we're going to try to get the people from Boston on. A collective of people put together a lawsuit, and they sued the city of Boston. MBEs made progress right up there in New England. And that was just so powerful. I remember last week we talked with a young lady on Keisha Brown's show, Mamie Griffin, if I'm not mistaken, and she helped found the New England Black Chamber of Commerce. She's now in DC. She's an attorney, but they have been working. You know, Boston has a new mayor, black mayor, first time ever. And it's just wonderful. I think a Morehouse man was involved in the effort. It was just wonderful to see that this issue of MBE is gaining traction. Now, me, myself, I've been a big, I've tried to be an advocate for MBE. Now, let me tell you, a lot of people I know, including Mr. Walter Edwards up in New York, he hates the term minority. I am not a minority. But in America, technically we are. And that being the case, we have to, for those who choose to, we can play this game and try to get some business out of it, or we can sit on the side and twiddle our thumbs. I choose to get involved to the best of my ability without damaging my own character, my own integrity, to see what these businesses can get. And, you know, I'm one of our guests, the guest for today, Ricky Smith. One of the things that is important to him is making sure that Blacks, he's the CEO of BWI-Thurgood Marshall. One thing that's very important to him is getting Black businesses established. Also, not just here here at BWI or BWI-Thurgood Marshall, but at airports across the country. He works with a lot of Black vendors. And so all of these things, for me, it's all about pushing Black business, whether it's at the airport, whether it's contracting with the city of Baltimore, the city of Oakland, wherever, Boston, Atlanta. We want to make sure that Black businesses get a fair piece of the pie. We also want to make sure that the whole concept of minority business participation is pushed, is expanded, includes education. It's a constant education process. We want to educate people. We want our businesses to know about opportunities. What we find a lot of times is that opportunities, some people know about them and some people don't. So what did they tell you coming out of high school? It's not what you know, but who you know. Well, in MBE, in the realm of business, it's all about making sure you know the right people. And what I can assure you is that if you watch this Contract to Scholars, the previous one Saturday, and just go to BlackUSA.News, it's the top story right now. Or if you come to some of the future ones, I guarantee you will meet some people you didn't know who are doing strong things, including the young man we had on from Nevada, the lieutenant colonel. He's involved with the Nevada Black Chamber. Kathy Adams out in Oakland with the Oakland African American Chamber. In various parts of the country, it's different industries in different parts of the country, but the game is the same and the fight is the same. And on that note, I got to tell you, my book, I Am Black Wall Street, will be hitting the streets soon, going through some final edits to make sure it's, I guess it'll never be perfect, but as close to perfect as we can get with what we have. And we talk very much about the plight of black business, and we reiterate repeatedly about the fight, the struggle. It's never over. If you're black and in America, you got to fight. And I don't mean fighting with guns. I do mean fighting with our brains and using every arrow in our quiver to ensure that we are successful, particularly in the realm of business. You know, black people, we have what, $2 trillion in annual disposable income. There's no excuse that we don't have more black millionaires in this country. So anybody running for office, let me just say, if they come on any show that I do, I don't care who they are. And I've done it in the past. Larry Hogan, Bob Ehrlich, Martin O'Malley, anybody running for mayor of the city of Baltimore. If I interview them, they're running for an office, I want to know, what are you going to do to create some new black millionaires? Not helping people who are already established, but in the realm of the ilk of a Marion Barry to ensure new black millionaires. When I think of Marion Barry, I think of a man so revered and adored in DC. But one thing he is known for, still known for, is making sure that black businesses get a fair, respectable piece of the pie. So let me just break it down. In a city like Baltimore, that's what, 55, 60% black. When you look at the millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in contracts, blacks are down, you know, we get 2, 3%. Doesn't make sense. So we have a black mayor, a black city council president, and city council president Nick Mosby did join us on Saturday. We have a black comptroller. These with blacks in these critical positions, it is imperative that we continue to push black business. Why? Because black businesses hire black people at the highest rate on earth. So in a black city where you have black elected officials and politics and economics are ever interrelated, we need our politicians, the ones we have in office, to serve the black community. And if they don't, just like Marion Barry said, vote them out. That's what he told me 15, 20 years ago. When people don't want to support what you need done, get rid of them. It's not complicated. One of the failures in the black community is not holding elected officials accountable. I'll say it again. One of the failures is not voting. Politically, I'm talking about. One of our failures politically it's not that we don't vote, it's that we don't hold these people accountable once they are elected. So if you're in the city of Baltimore, first of all, you need to know this phone number. Hey, there he goes. Hold tight there. Here's the link right here. That's the link. So in the city, now I lost my train of thought. Ricky's coming shortly. In the city of Baltimore, I lost my train of thought. But we got to get more black businesses involved. Black businesses hire. We hire black people at a higher rate. So If we got black elected officials, you got millions of dollars in contracts coming down the pipeline, then you want to make sure that black businesses that are qualified, hey, Edna, good morning, get a fair piece of the pie, not 2-3%. I'm talking about 25, 35, 40%. As these companies get stronger, they can hire more people in the community. I saw this lady post this rather rhetorical issue. She said, what can we do to stop crime in Baltimore? What can we do to stop the killings, the murders? People act like they don't know why this stuff is happening. You starve a community. You starve a community. Freddie Gray, Penn North, the international journalists, Spanish TV, Al Jazeera, CNN, they come to Penn North and they wonder, oh my God, look at all of this looting and rioting. Look at these buildings. And I'm talking about the buildings. They were looking at the buildings. They thought the rioters had created the devastation. No, it's done by slumlords who are not fined enough. If you're a slumlord and you got a property you haven't touched in 10, 20 years, it should be taken, period, because you are a nuisance. Let me tell you why. Vacant house, drug addicts. What comes with, and black and white drug addicts in the black community. These houses get vandalized, burned down, cause fires, cause people to get killed. It's just, so if you really want to fix Baltimore, if you really want to stop the crime, then you put resources in these very neighborhoods that you have been starving. Now, there's this theory out about the white L and the black butterfly. The white L is Johns Hopkins University down to the harbor over to Canton. That's the white L. It's a backwards L, but nonetheless an L. The black butterfly, that's the white L. The black butterfly is East Baltimore and West Baltimore. So if you've been in Baltimore, hey, Edna, oh, I agree. Sure, you're right. If you put all of the resources with Johns Hopkins, Charles Street, downtown, Obama gave money. Obama gave stimulus money. Where did the money go? Didn't come to Sandtown. I can assure you it didn't come to Sandtown. And if it did, then somebody stole it. It didn't go to East Baltimore. What we know is that money went downtown. So if you only feed downtown, if you only feed the white L, then of course there's going to be mayhem. Take a rat experiment. You put rats in a box. 2 boxes. You give one box with the rats food and water and a lot of space to exercise. And then the other box, you just put the rats in there. No food, no water. Instead, you put crack cocaine in there and you put guns. What do you expect to happen? And so then you go over to Charles Village and people are, lovey-dovey, everything's wonderful, but it don't go like that in the community. It don't go like that in the hood because people, poor education, pardon my language, but piss poor education. You got a school CEO, you got people making 6-figure salaries, and we're delivering an inferior product. And if I'm wrong, in my collar where you belong. Last I checked, and whoa, I got to say this. Edmondson West Side lost 10 vocational programs. Now, this was about 4 weeks ago, and they were supposed to be coming on the show. So if anybody's watching and Christopher Burnett, the councilman, please have him call the show. Please have him get in touch with me. We want to, how did you strip Edmondson West Side of 10 vocational programs? How? I mean, I didn't go to a vocational technical school, but Edmondson West Side, Mervo, Carver, they have a long track record of creating plumbers, electricians, carpenters. And carpenters can go on to be like Brown from Sandtown, Brown's Construction, Brown's Contract in Edmondson, Westwood, Pulaski and Westwood, and they do contracting, construction work all over the city, straight out of my community. Who listens to the truth? Well, the problem is, and let me tell you, I'm not blaming white folks. Too many black people in charge. That's why. Too many black people as the head of this, the CEO of that, the executive director of this. We ain't got a white people problem. We got a black people problem. And I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. Classism. We never talk about that. Classism. I live in an upwardly mobile area. I live in Randallstown or Owings Mills or Columbia. And those poor black people in Baltimore City, oh, they are just a mess. You know, that condescending stuff. And if you ain't in the elite, bougie, upwardly mobile black people club, then you get nothing. So it's our fault because we vote for these people and we don't hold them accountable. So if you need anybody in the city, take this number down, 410-396-3100. Okay. Bear with me, folks. We gotta send the email. But we have too many people who aren't looking out for other people. When you go to a HBCU, and bear with me, Ricky, I'm sending you an email right now to your BWI. There we go, link. We have too many black people in position for black people not to be doing better. Check your email there, Ricky. Too many black people in position for black people not to be doing better. And it's whether it's the police department. You know, I'm all for the black police. I'm all for the black fire department. But if these black people don't understand, see, I was raised like this, that to whom much is given, much is required. I'm 55. And I look at people younger than me, 45, 35. I don't know that that message is getting across as well. And I don't blame the younger people. I blame the older people for not showing them the way. I don't blame the younger people. I blame the older people for not being better involved, for having children that we don't raise. I'll say it again, for having children that we don't raise. I'm going to say it one more time, for having children that we do not raise. They say how they say it? We love our daughters, but spoil our sons. I'm watching grown men with pants hanging down. You can't teach that. You can't teach that in school. That's got to start at home. And I'm not pushing corporal punishment or beating of children, but you got to jack them little babies up early. I talked to mine in the womb. Hey, it's your daddy. When you come here, you better act correctly. But we've gotten away from that. We let other people try to tell us how to love our children. People who can't even raise their own children, telling us how to raise our children. Baffling. I remember, I was watching over the weekend a Western, a John Wayne, and had a scene in there where the black woman was taking care of the white baby. Not John Wayne. This was Jimmy Stewart. And the movie was surrounding the Civil War. Makes me think of my book that's coming out, I Am Black Wall Street. But we have been raising other people's children and our own children. And then all of a sudden people are going to try to tell us how to raise children. Well, you couldn't even raise your own. Black people were raising a lot of other people's children. But now we got people that, oh, you can't spank your baby. Oh, you got to do timeout. Timeout don't work in my neighborhood. It might work in yours, but some people in my neighborhood need a little bit more immediate attention. Might need to jack them up. And we don't even go up to school no more. Owens Mills. Yeah, there you go. Because the elders are not engaging the children and lying about the work they are doing. Well, let me tell you, Edna, yesterday I had to tell a young man on the avenue that he was absolutely correct. And it was a crazy situation. I shared it yesterday. A young man we went in the store. This lady standing back 15 feet from the counter. Anybody would have thought she had already ordered. But she had this attitude, almost like she didn't want to be there. You shouldn't have come there. But then she gives this young man who was being very respectful. Even though he is a drug dealer, he was extremely respectful. So respectful, I'm acknowledging it today. The young man was very respectful to her. She called him S-H-I-T. She said, my name, you call me Miss. Well, this younger generation, probably, the young man called her Ma. Now, we get mad when black people call the Asian women Ma. He called his black woman Ma, out of nothing but love and respect. And she went off on him, not knowing that he would split her wig to the white meat. I hope she catches herself and realizes her wrong. Maybe she did raise her children not to sell drugs. I ain't judging. I'm in a no judgment zone. That's where I'm at today. Because when I look at what this country has done to my people when it comes to drugs, yes, we play a role in it a lot of times. But at the same time, we've seen instance after instance. Look at the gun trace task force. They planted drugs on a bunch of people who had nothing to do with drugs. They took a lot of people's money. They ruined a lot of lives. They caused people to get killed. Like that accident when the older couple got killed. Gun trace task force, the police, law enforcement. But everybody blames black people. Everybody, oh, look at them bad black kids. Look at them black kids. It's their fault. So I'm going to share with you. Looks like we may have an abbreviated show today. Or I'll just have to come up with a topic off the cuff. But I want to share with you what I shared yesterday. And this is for all of the older people out there looking down their funky noses at these young people. We have to get involved with these young people. If they're selling weed, it's our job to go to them and say, look, if you want to get a job, I will help you. And that's my task today, to go back to that very same, because I've been wanting to say something to this young man for a while and a young lady. And I'm going to say, whatever I can do to help you get a job, I will. We all have to do that. We got to stop being afraid of our babies. They're babies. They're babies. If you're 50 and this young person is 20, that's a baby to you. And if they don't know, then you got to teach them. Pull them to the side. And what's so encouraging for me is that even though this older lady yesterday was acting a plumb fool, the young man walked away from her, kept his composure, and he went to the store. He went down the street, and I went to him. I said, young man, you are absolutely correct. And today I'm going to go and I will report tomorrow. I'm going to find him and the young lady that I've been thinking about. I've been wanting to say to him, hey, if you need a job, I'm going to do that today. We can't be afraid of them. Plus, people sense fear. Kids too, young people too. They sense fear. They sense when hey, they your baby, they your children. What happened to the village? I'll tell you what happened to the village. We allowed government to get too much in our damn business. You can't spank your child. If you spank your child can call the police on you. Call the police on my mother. Now, let me just get black with you for a minute. Call the police on my mother and see what happened to you. She'll set your stuff, and you ain't got no clothes, by the way, because she bought them off, remember? But she's going to set your little bag by the front door, and she's going to tell the police to keep you. Don't come back. That's what would happen if you ever called the police. I never called the police on my mom. I couldn't even imagine that. Hey, Deborah Boardley. I could not imagine calling the police on your mother. Mother, what a mama, whatever. I wish you would. Respect. There's a rap artist, and big ups to DMX. God rest his soul. There's a young rap artist, Yo Gotti. And he's got a song with Chrisette Michelle's called My City. And it's a line in it, and it's so profound, much like our DMX, great lyricist, great words. He said, the little homies don't respect the big homies no more. There was a time when there was a code. People didn't sell drugs in front of children. People didn't sell drugs in front of old people. Good stuff. Homeschool is better. Malcolm X said you ain't supposed to let your enemy educate your children. There's a time when you could spank your neighbor's child. Somebody told me over the weekend, said, oh, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say it. I don't have his permission, but the point is more important. Thurman Zollicoffer, he used to be city solicitor. He told me once that his teacher called his mama and said, if he gets out of line, can I correct him? Now, you can't become city solicitor being a bad person. But this one particular time, the teacher got permission from his mom to tap that hind parts. And the mama gave it. But it goes back to the old story that people my age have heard. There was a time when the neighbor would whip you, spank you, and when you got home, your parents would spank you, because that's how the village worked. But now, because all of these rights, we done brought the government into our relationships, child support. Now, granted, some people should be on child support, but other people should not be. They're on there because of some vindication. But, you bring the government into your family, they then are giving you rules that dictate how you are supposed to raise your children. And when, like I said, black people have been raising everybody's children in this country since forever. Yeah, the whole neighborhood will correct you. Thank you for joining us, Edna. So, here's the poem. And maybe we'll come back later on, but we're going to cut this one short. The poem is Who's to Blame? And let me just say, I memorized this poem over at Dunbar back in '83. When you went into the cafeteria, it was over there on the right wall. And while you're standing in line, I would read it every day. I don't think I ever missed lunch. And I've shared this poem all over the world, all over my travel, as far as I've traveled, halfway around Africa, Middle East. It's called, hey there, Dr. Powers. It's called Who's to Blame? We read in the papers and hear on the air of killing and stealing and crime everywhere. We sigh and we say as we notice the trend, this younger generation, oh, where will it end? But can we be sure that it's their fault alone? Are we less guilty who place in their way so many things that lead them astray? Too much money, too much idle time, too many movies of passion and crime, too many books not fit to be read, too much evil in what they hear said, too many children encouraged to roam, too many parents who won't stay at home. Kids don't write the movies, they don't write the books, they don't paint gay pictures of gangsters and crooks. They don't make the liquor, they don't make the laws, they don't make the cars, they don't make the bars, they don't make the drugs that muddle the brain. All done by older folk, greedy for gain. Delinquent teenagers, oh, how we condemn. The sins of the nation, we blame on them. But by the laws of the blameless, the Savior made known. Who is there amongst you to cast the first stone? For in so many cases, it's sad, but it's true. The title delinquent fits older folk too. If you're my age or roundabout, this is what I want you to do today. I want you to find a young person, and you already know them. Somebody you've been thinking, join me in this journey today. We're going to approach respectfully one or two of our young people, and we're going to ask them, what can we do to help them become successful? We're going to ask them what their dream is. What do you see yourself doing in 5 to 10 years? Be prepared for some off-the-wall responses that wouldn't have come necessarily from our generation. There's something else I want to say. I've heard it enough and I'm going to dismiss it. This is my opinion and I'm entitled to it. I hear people say all the time, it's almost like a fad. Everybody's not college material. Take that crap somewhere else. Not on this show. Let me tell you why. If you're coming out of Baltimore City Public Schools with a 0.13, you ain't getting no education. So you got to go to college. You got to go to Baltimore City Community College just to get your remedials done. That's the stuff you should have got in grades 1 through 12. Everybody is able to go to college. college. Hey, look, when I watch cats riding up Pennsylvania Avenue with one hand on the wheel and riding on a dirt bike in the middle, cars coming this way and going that way, and you riding in the middle of that. If you can do that, I know damn well you can take a GED, a SAT. You can learn how to formulate a 5-sentence paragraph. I'm not buying that foolishness anymore. We have dummied down. Attorney Robert DeShield says it all the time. We have dummied down our children. A 60 is not passing. That means you got almost half of them wrong. You're not proficient. Our young people, if we give them low standards, that's all they will have. We have to raise the bar. See, there's some people that want our children to know 60, to understand 60. I brought my dad in 97. He said, "Where my other 3 points?" My daddy made education fun. Yes, he did. He made education fun. I've shared a story about when I went to Lamel. I wanted a CB radio. He said, "Well, you got to get on the honor roll." And I remember that day when the report cards came out in Miss Hall's class. Mr. Murphy was the principal up Lamel. And I was so anxious. Come to find out I was way over. But that's just, I wanted to do well in school. And I wanted a CB radio. But there was a certain expectation that my mom and dad had, but they didn't have to put it on me because I wanted to learn anyway. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I love rainy days because the bad kids would stay home and I could get my daggone work done. That's a true story. I'm rambling now. Hey there, Leroy McKenzie. Deborah Boardley is memorized, Deborah Boardley. You can go to bemorenews.com. Who's to blame? Dr. Stella Levy. Now, this lady here, I could talk about this woman forever. I'm gonna kill a few more minutes. I went to Poly, then I went to Dunbar. 2 years at Poly, A course. Algebra 2, trig, and physics. I had to go to summer school. She says it was at Poly. I remember being at Walbrook, but that was many moons ago, so who knows who was right. But I'm telling you, it was Walbrook. But anyway, she broke down Algebra 2, trig, and physics. She just broke it down for me. We're over at Poly, and she later explained to me that they were trying to weed us out. They were trying to weed out black students from Poly. And Poly is heavily black today, black principals. Big ups to the first one, Barney Wilson. But in my day, I never felt welcome. And it was culture shock too. I'm coming from Lamel. At Lamel, you know, there were a couple of classes of students who were academically astute, probably 4. No, you had your bright students. But Lamel, located right there on Dukeland Street in Gwynns Falls, kids from a lot of different neighborhoods come there. And there were fights all the time. My first day at Lamel, I saw a person get killed. Bus came around the corner and hit him. I even lost my train of thought. Oh. So going from Lamel to Poly was, I never went to school with white kids. Also, I never went to a school where I wasn't in the top class and getting the top grades. I never gotten a 16 before. I never gotten a 32 before. Happened at Poly and knocked my little self-esteem down a tad. Anyway, I get to summer school and meet this lady, Dr. Stella Levy. She used to wear these pencil skirts too. Oh my God, who couldn't pay attention to Miss Ingram? Well, her name Levy now, Dr. Levy. But anyway, she broke down Algebra 2, trig, and physics. And I was like, that's it? Why did they make it so complicated? Why were they doing that to us? Black teachers too. It was you know, high standards. I remember one white kid committed suicide at Poly. I wasn't going on the side where you get all that. But I did learn that I didn't want to be an engineer, and I learned why. because it didn't fit me. But I'm still glad for the experience. Very grateful for my poly family, those who went into engineering and other industries. Poly rocks. But Dunbar was great too. And then when I get down to Dunbar, guess who would be my science teacher? But Dr. Stella Levy. And since then, as of, over the past years, we've had many conversations. She's come on many shows I've done. We've recognized her at our Black Wall Street Awards a few times because I can't thank her enough. And I can only imagine if we had more teachers like her. When Andres Alonso was here, this is one of my major criticisms of the O'Malley administration besides zero tolerance. When the O'Malley administration was in charge, they brought Andres Alonso to Baltimore City. He got rid of 75% of the principals. Now, I'm not saying they were all Black women, Black people, but most of them were Black. And any company that gets rid of 3/4 of its intellectual and historical capital is bound to fail. That's why you have a dismal rate of success in Baltimore City today. That's just my perspective. I could be wrong. But from what I see, and it's not just, I'm not at all blaming Dr. Santolisa for the condition of Baltimore. But there's certain things that worked that should have never left. I'm going to give you a classic example. You ain't ready for this. Easy solution. And it shouldn't really cost a lot of money. Saturday school. We had it in my day. People couldn't get it during the week. You had to go to Saturday school. We need Saturday school. Leroy McKenzie. Yes, teachers like that are very hard to find in the system today. Well, you got rid of 75% of all those Black ladies, all those Black men. Early retirement. And so now we have Teach for America people. I'm not knocking the white lady teachers, but this is what we know. When you get rid of them Black teachers and you bring in people who know very little about teaching Black kids, a lot of our Black boys get put on Ritalin. Hello. And that's like pre-drug addiction. Now, granted, some people need medicine, but a lot of kids just need some damn exercise. They took climbing the rope out. They got rid of musical instruments. But these people are so smart. And the politicians have repeatedly lied to us. Repeatedly. From 1973, when they brought in the Maryland State Lottery, they lied to us. They said money for education, and then they changed it. They lied to us. Democrats lied to us. The Democratic Party that we so loyally vote for lied to us. Now, I don't know about you, but I ain't in a relationship with nobody that lied to me. They're going to be gone. I'll say it again. I'm not staying in a relationship with someone who is knowingly lying to me. That I know they lying to me. What's the point? They're a liar. If you lie, you steal. You steal, you cheat. You cheat, you ain't no good. End of story. But these politicians repeatedly lied to us. So they lied to us in 73, money for education. What we do see, besides icicles on the classroom, we see a new football stadium and a new baseball stadium. But yet Baltimore City and Prince George's County still got the worst two school jurisdictions in the state. And they're both majority Black. Recently, they passed table gambling and slots. And what was the #1 promise? Martin O'Malley pushed it. Early tried to push it, but they wouldn't let a Republican have that kind of success. So they let a Democrat have that kind of success. And who was the biggest loser? Our children. Because we still have icicles on the classroom walls in the wintertime. The classes are boiling in the warmer months. But we keep voting for these things. I'm a Democrat. You'll never, ever hear that out of my mouth. I am a Black man in America trying to survive. The Republicans pimp us, the Democrats pimp us. The truth of the matter is what we need is a third party, an independent party. But they won't let the independent party gain traction because they want to keep the power like they got it. If you bring that third power in there, then we have an option, a viable option. And they know they would lose. A lot of these Democrats will be gone. A lot of these Republicans will be gone. And all of that maintains the status quo. And the status quo has white people in a better position than anybody else. And that's a problem because I got to eat too. My children got to go to a good school too. My grandchildren want to go to a good school too. They want to put a homeless shelter in Sandtown. Put the homeless shelter over there in Guilford. That's Baltimore. Put it over there. Why won't you? Because you're scared of them white people with money and those black people over there with money. You won't put that in. You'll never see a shelter in Guilford. They ain't having it. Put it in Sandtown. Well, guess what? We're not having it either. Well, I done went on my rant, did my rave review of Baltimore politics, Maryland politics. Keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting, just like a drug addict, just like a gambling addict, just like a prostitute. Keep doing the same thing. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And that's why I'm going to vote for whomever, and I will vote out whomever. Serve the people. And black politicians, for the record, to our young people, if you want to make money, go into business. But if you want to serve the people, then go into politics. And when inside your heart you feel like serving the people is no longer the top priority, then leave. But you got people that want to die in office because of some fake and phony legacy of what? Of what? Your neighborhood looked the same. You did nothing. You got your name on a building, but Penn North looks the same as it did in 2015. Partner. North and Greenmount look the same. North Avenue look the same, except bike lanes, which are racist because ain't nobody on them. And people in my neighborhood, I don't know how it is in other neighborhoods, but people who got children, black, white, or otherwise, ain't riding no damn bike. So get rid of these damn bike lanes because they're holding up traffic. And if the purpose of bike lanes is to reduce the carbon print, then how do cars stalled on North Avenue every single day? How does that help the environment? You have traffic backed up and cars stalled. How does that help the environment? I'm not a science major, but it's not complicated to see that those cars stuck in traffic are damaging the carbon footprint. But you got these people who ain't even from Baltimore who want to bring a damn bike lane in my neighborhood on North Avenue. Lord have mercy. Somebody speak truth to power. Don't be ashamed. So let me give you some numbers. If you have any problem with the city, call them. Also, email them. The main number is 410-396-3100. And that will get you in touch with anybody that works for the city of Baltimore. If you're trying to get in touch with your state elected officials or any state agency, call 841-3000. 841-3000. I want you to get your politicians. I want you to know your city council person. Besides going out here to the young people today, let's make an agenda. Besides going to our young people, approaching them and asking them how we can be successful, I want you to also know who your city council person is if you don't know. I want you to know who your state senator is if you don't know. Who your 3 delegates are if you don't know. I want you to find out who your congressperson is. And I want you to know who the 2 U.S. senators are for the state of Maryland. So I want you to understand the difference between the local, the state, and the federal. I want you to get their contact information, and I want you to call them. And I want you to ask them, what are they doing? What have they been doing? What have they been doing for your community? It's our job to hold these people accountable, but we don't. Marty does a show on Tuesday nights. He thinks I'm hard on Randallstown. He doesn't know I got a lot of family out of Randallstown, and they're always calling me to help them with their situations out there. You got to call Julian Jones. Julian Jones is the black councilman out Liberty Road, 10th District. He replaced Ken Oliver, and God's blessings on Ken right now. I don't think he's doing too well. But I hear people, and they're hypercritical of Julian. Well, check this out. If you don't have somebody who do you have to replace Julian? Now, I'm a supporter. Plus, he's my Dunbar Port homeboy. I'm going to support him. I've watched him work his way up, and nobody supported him. The mainstream machine, with all due respect, including Dolores Kelly, did not support Julian. Julian went out there and did it on his own. literally. And so some people, oh, Julian should do this, Julian should do that. But if you didn't help this man get to where he is, and he got there without you, you might want to rethink that relationship. You know what I mean? And if you can only criticize him without offering some solutions, or if you can't find some other candidates to put on the bench so you can groom them to take his place, because he's now planning to run for county executive. Izzy Patoka is running for county executive, I think, and also Jim Brochin is running for Baltimore County executive. But you got a lot of people out Randallstown who have never even been to the county seat in Towson. Go figure. That's like living in Baltimore City and you ain't never been to City Hall. And if you live in Baltimore and you ain't never been to City Hall, shame on you. Don't go out there talking about anything political, because the real question is, what have we done? How have we gotten involved? How have we gotten engaged? Have we called our elected officials? Have we written them letters? And I really encourage you to write letters, emails. And so when they have their public meetings, say, City Councilman, I sent you an email on February 2nd, March 3rd, April 10th. No response. That embarrasses them. And you have a paper trail. We got to play the game. We got to use our brain. It's not, it's not a shoot 'em up kind of war, but it is a mental war. Although we are already taxed by COVID, a horrible economy, and everything that goes with a pandemic, our ancestors went through worse. And that's why it's important that I get this book out, I Am Black Wall Street, to mark the 100th commemoration of what happened in Tulsa. It's not a celebration. It's a remembrance of these Black people that made it to Oklahoma. And Tulsa isn't the only town in Oklahoma, but Tulsa's Greenwood section got burned down 100 years ago, May 31st, next month. And I will be in Tulsa to acknowledge that day, and I will have that book in hand. But it's important that we know our story, our history, our struggle. If they went through all of that to build the Black Wall Street, facing lynching, the KKK, the White League, and all kinds of white paramilitary terrorist organizations, then our fight is a little bit easier. Our ancestors went through worse than we went through. So no, I don't accept that notion that everybody's not college material. My God, people can't even sign their name nowadays. Isn't that going backwards? Leave you with this final thought. And I didn't know that I was going to sit this whole hour out, but you're still here and I'm still with you. When you think about all that our ancestors have gone through, and you hear all of those sayings that we grew up with, to whom much is given, much is required. You think about Harriet Tubman. She had her freedom, but she was intent on going back and freeing 300 other slaves. And Facebook tried to check me, and I checked them right back. She freed 300 slaves. But when she went with the Union Army down the Combahee River in South Carolina, she freed 700 people. So that's 1,000 people. Therefore, her saying is absolutely true, despite what Facebook wants to say. She said, I freed 1,000 slaves. I would have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. And what kills me, let me just tell you something. Why I do media is when other people try to tell our story, tell us what so-and-so said. You can't tell me my story. Go tell yourself your story, but you can't tell me my story because we've studied it too long. But it's important that we take all of those lessons that we've learned over the years and apply to this situation now. We're not facing lynchings. The enemy these days is debt and credit and bad credit scores. Having a person pay $20,000 for a house or car that they could have gotten for half as much. That's the war today. So we got to teach our children about credit. We got to teach them early. If they can learn Instagram and TikTok and new dances and ride dirt bikes with one hand, I know damn well they can learn about a credit score. My name's Donnie Glover, and I'm out for the day. We will be back tonight at 7 p.m. for Town Hall. Derek Burnett will be our host, and we're going to be talking baseball. Be good, hug somebody, and don't forget, approach these young people with respect. Talk to them, ask them, what can you do to help them become successful? And let's do that today. Join me. Hope to see you later on. Have a good day.